Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Um, so I'm gonna have to find a way to say what I'm gonna have to say, so and yet not trigger many of you who are listening to me into fear. Um, if we're looking at the state of the world as it stands, there's a lot of climate change events that are taking place, from hurricane, typhoons, floods, wildfires, earthquakes, that all changing the game for many of us. In America, very recently, Hurricane Helene uh, swatted across the South from Florida all the way all in the Carolinas. And as it moved through, it dumped such force and such amount of water at many places, including a light community in Asheville, North Carolina, got severely flooded, to the point that even as we speak, many places in that area are not passable. Rather, it's very difficult to travel by car because it's the mountains, lots of mudslide, lots of uh, uh, um, impassable road where you have to be on foot to be able to reach the other side. And moreover, the town of Asheville itself, the proper town of Asheville, was flooded in some cases all the way up to the roof. And because a lot of the rivers received so much water in a short period of time, it was a fast-moving storm, but it dumped a lot of water. And I know that online a lot of people are reading conspiracy theories or saying that it's a cabal, it's DARPA that's sending these storms in this region because there is uranium in that area. They want the land, and etc. I don't believe any of this. I actually think as the weather is changing, the pattern and the direction of the storms are changing. Things are moving in different directions, so much so that the middle of the Sahara Desert in many places is all completely green because the storms that used to, there was a depression in the middle of the Sahara that caused very little rain to arrive there, that has moved way out north, and now more storms are coming through. And in many places, um, full trees are growing now. Bushes and trees are growing in the Sahara. And it's changing many things. Why I'm saying this is because I know two people who moved to Asheville because they wanted to be, it's like a Sedona, because it has a community of light oriented individual, open, kind, loving people who are, and there are lots of retreat centers, spiritual centers, healing centers. There are lots of alternative healers that are in that region. And it's a shame that someone who left, let's say, a place like New York or Los Angeles or Chicago to move there to find like-minded community thinking you're going to weather the storm there, that actually the storm came to you. And which brings me to the second point. You cannot escape your karma. There are no such thing as a safe place. There are only safe people. I didn't channel this. I heard this many years ago. I believe this to be true. Uh, I have a client of mine that keeps that keeps talking all the time about moving to a different location, trying to find a safe place, and there is no such thing. You're gonna have to create a connection to God that will make you anointed and therefore touched by God and therefore safe. And for that to happen, your spiritual practice has to be maintained. It has to be very specific and it has to be maintained as a means to allow you to extricate yourself from the collective karma that are taking place. What do I mean by that? Let's break it down. Let's focus in, let's zoom in to know what we're talking about. In French, there's a term called egrégoire, which translates into group body. Let's say, for example, if you're in a family, or if you like a soccer team or a basketball team, your desire and your bonding experiences that has to do with the ritual of the play, or the ritual of the rehearsal, or the practice, and the ritual of you coming together at a dinner table, the ritual of you doing things as a family together, that kind of connection creates a shared psyche. And that shared psyche is called the egrégoire. It's a group body. And that group body is much stronger than the sum of the parts. I've spoken about this a little bit before, but we're going to go much deeper today, because it's important for us to understand how we connect to a group body. And if there is a fear in the group body, even though we may be at rest and at peace, that fear will enter our subconscious mind to the link we share with the group body. And if it shows up, even on a subconscious level, it may begin to send all kinds of ripple in your core and agitation that are not yours, but that you could easily interpret as if it belongs to you. And we have to find the discernment to disconnect with what is part of an external or in a group body as opposed to what actually belongs to us. So having said this about the egrégoire, we can belong to multiple egrégoires at the same time. Like, for example, if I went to a university, the university has an alma mater, and I belong to the group body. I'm of my gender, of male, I belong to a group body. Of my race, I belong to a group body. Of my family, I belong to a group body. Of the spiritual community, I belong to a group body. Of all of us doing this deep work with the torsion field, that's a different group body. Of us as human beings, that's a gigantic group body. So we belong to multiple of them at the same time. And the group body itself is imperfect, because it's the collective awareness of the imperfect parts that creates a sum. And therefore, that imperfect group body at times will react to external events, external stress, as a way to either strengthen or weaken the members that compose it. I'm going to give you a simple example. I remember being at the Rangers game at Madison Square Garden, and the Rangers were losing. And then the crowd, all of us started screaming, "Let's go, Ranger!" Screaming and yelling. The next thing you know, 2 goals, and we won. The Rangers won. When the members of the group body begin to focus on a common goal, success can be achieved. Now, the benefit of the group body as well is that if for some reason you're weak and you feel vulnerable, the collective of the group body of the egrégoire can give you support and strengthen you. But the negative as well is that if the group body has an immaturity in it, has not learned a karma, even though you individually have learned it, but because you belong to it, what's going to happen is that at some point, it may trigger a subconscious reaction inside of you that causes you to experience a fear, or to feel disempowered, or to feel a rage, or to feel victimized in some ways, all of which may not be 100% yours, but may belong to the group body. So I want to explain this, because as all of these changes are happening around the world, going back to what we started the topic we started with originally, all these climate change things, all these things that seem to be on a God scale, that seems to be beyond the scope of what you and I can control. So as these things are coming in, and they're coming really big, we need to understand that it's beyond our capability to change anything, and we need to ask God for mercy. However we perceive God to be, we need to surrender into our perception of that higher power and let that higher power come in through the body of the egregore, ask that good body to come in to help us weather the storm. Because the group body has its own karma. Karma actually, in Hebrew, it translated into tikkun. It means to correct or to repair. It's not an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth for a tooth. It's actually to correct and to repair. So it's an active thing. And the karma that we have is never related to us and us alone. If you notice, in all instances when you have a karma, it's your connection, your internal perception, and how you perceive yourself in relationship to a person, to multiple people, to an institution, to some planetary figure, or to your connection to God, to the divine, or to a higher power, or your misconnection with all the above mentioned. So the correction that you need to make, the tikkun, the repair that you need to make, is typically connected directly to something. It's basically connected to emotional intelligence, you and someone else, or social intelligence. It's connected to you and how you perceive yourself, your own, because a lot of the karma is also internal to yourself. Who do you think you are? Who do you believe you are? And the smaller we make ourselves, the more fragmented, the more insignificant we make ourselves to be, the more we begin to erase our true power and disconnect and create distance between us and a part of ourselves that can empower us and connect us to our true nature. So that also creates a karma. Okay? And a lot of the healing that needs to happen, it's the most difficult part of repairing karma. It's repairing the perception that we have of ourselves and how we understand ourselves to be. What is it the Bible said? Ye are God, but know it not. So the smaller you make yourself and the more invisible you make yourself, the more difficult it will be for you to repair that kind of karma, to make the correction necessary to accept also yourself as who you are. And a lot of time these kind of perception are connected to how you grew up and what people said to you about you to yourself. You'll never be anything. Oh, you're insignificant. I remember one client saying to me, not I am broken, I am, I forgot the term, it will come back to me. Something that was absolutely horrendous. Like he kept hearing people saying this to him all the time. And he was suicidal because of what they were telling to him. Like there's something wrong with you, you're broken, you're no good. And I have to say to you, it's absolutely horrible, because you begin to realize that the projection of someone else on you can create such damage that it causes you to perceive yourself in such as an insignificant nothing, that it breaks you down into into not even wanting to exist in this world. So it's important for us to understand this, so that as you repair your own internal conversation with yourself that may not have generated from within, but could have come down by someone saying this to you over and over again, like a school teacher or abusive caretaker or caregiver. And as these things are being projected onto you, you begin to believe it. And you have a different perception of yourself, of who you are. So I'm saying this because I want you to be very careful of the inner conversation you're having with yourself, okay? To correct that internal karma that could cause you to leave a back door open so that the group body karma, and we belong to so many of them, can penetrate and cause an assertion in your core of a fear that's not even yours. One of the crazy things that happens when these insertions occur, at least the way I perceive it, is that I can feel when I'm doing my practice that it's almost like a dark cloud that's in my perimeter, that's rotating and hovering around me. And I can feel something. Sometimes I don't know what it is. I just know there is a menace of some kind. Okay? And whatever that menace is, it takes me sometimes days because I don't want to acknowledge it. I don't want to bring it in my core because if I bring it, it's going to insert itself inside of me. So there's a part of me that's trying to keep it at bay and remain in the light and remain connected to spirit and to hope and to mercy and to love and to acceptance. Yet at the same time, if it persists, I begin to realize it's not mine. It's a group body thing that's coming around me, and I have to somehow acknowledge it so that I can understand what it is. Now, sometimes I don't need to acknowledge it, or rather, before I even acknowledge it, it penetrates in my boundaries, and then the next thing you know, all of a sudden it's in my core. I have a fear, I have a sensation that there's some sort of panic is created inside of me. And I know there's a part of me that's like, why is this there? Because 2 hours ago or yesterday, it wasn't there. Why is this in my body at this moment? Why am I feeling this way? And there's a part of me that would scratch and try to open my core and trying to get it extracted out from me because I feel like it doesn't belong. Wherever I was at peace, at serenity before, it penetrates in my core and it's creating an unease, a discomfort at the lower end, or even a panic or a fear that I know is not mine. Now, in some instances, before I even say it's not mine, in some instances, I don't know if it's mine or if it's not mine. Because I'm doing the Dantian all the time. I'm doing a self-talk all the time with my core. I'm with a flashlight constantly internally looking. A lot of time when something shows up, and this is what most people on the planet do. Let's say, for example, you're feeling panic. People, when they feel this way, the self-talk they have, I am panicking. The moment you say, I am panicking, you claim it, the panic is yours. Law of non-interference. I want you to understand the nuance. I'm going slow, and I hope you get me. Law of non-interference, because I don't want you to fall in these traps. Law of non-interference. No external forces, including the forces that are in the group body, are allowed to enter your energy field and alter your frequency without your consent and your approval. They can project the frequency and the wave can move through you. Unless you agree, it will not stick. Meaning you will sense it, you will feel it. As an empath, you feel it, you sense it. But it's when you say, it's mine, by saying, I am in fear. I am in panic. I am, you add the feeling and the negative feeling or emotion. The moment you say this, it's yours. Now, the other way also that these forces may show up is in your dreams. I've taught for many times taught this class. It's a 12-week series of dreaming on the Kabbalistic tree, where each Sephirot, starting from Kepher all the way down to Malkuth, we focus on each one of them. They have a symbol. The symbol is a key that you focus on your medulla oblongata, and then it opens a doorway that allows you to dream with the energy system and the frequency, let's say, of Kepher, of Hakma, of Bina, of Tiferet, of Yesod, of Malkuth. And as you're dreaming, it shifts your consciousness into something else. Now, this is a way to control the dream narrative and to become, instead of becoming, going into a dream and becoming dust in the wind, or as the Tibetan Buddhist calls it, unconscious tendencies floating in emptiness. You have no control. You just unconsciously float in this vast sea, and you land wherever you land. But when you do exercise like the one that practice, or other kind of spiritual practice that you do on your daily, or like the torsion field, if you do the torsion field morning and you do it right before you go to sleep at night, you're not going to have bad dreams. Or if you have bad dreams, you will control the dream, meaning you will say, I'm not having this dream anymore, and the dream will change. You will wake up. You will be in charge. I'm not accepting this, because in the dream itself, you're analyzing the dream as the dream is going on. You're very cognizant. This is a dream. This is that to represent that. I represent that part. I'm not having this dream. I'm not accepting this. So in the dream, you refute it and you reestablish your boundary. At that moment, you're beginning to practice your conscious immortality. But many times, the opposite occurs. You're having the dream, and in the dream, you're in such fear. You see yourself being chased, and you're running, and you're in such fear. You see animals, some sort of crazy snake or something running out. You're so afraid that you wake up palpitating, pulse, out of breath. And as you do this, your core is compromised. The fear is in. So the idea is that you have to constantly be checking that core, not only in meditation, but now in your dream even, to make sure that you don't, because your unconscious tendency and emptiness, you don't unconsciously agree to allow a fear to enter. Okay, I've said a lot. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to let you ask questions if you have any. Any questions, any comments? All right. So what I want to continue to converse about is to make you understand how these external hovering forces that may be going about you, the perception in your meditation and your practice, that there's some sort of menace. You don't even exactly know what it is, but something in the collective unconscious of humanity is stirring, and it's causing you to feel unease. We have in our brain mirror neuron that connects us to everyone else around us. And through them, we can perceive all kinds of things. This is a way a psychic or an intuitive or a spiritualist, for that matter, is able to do a reading for you. It's because the mirror neuron in you can talk to the mirror neuron in them, and they can begin to read and do and perceive what's happening in your life. So I want to express that empathy and that way of communication to the limbic system is extremely important. But equally important is the fact that, okay, for the most part, people cannot read for me. When I go to a reader, I have to allow, if I decide I don't want anybody to see my business. I will tell my limbic system, my mirror neuron, to stop chatting so that no one can communicate with me. And if I do my torsion field before I go, no one will see anything from me because I'm not permitting it. I'm establishing boundaries. I want to talk. I've presented a narrative to you, a storyline to you. I want to talk for a moment about what we need to do. And before I do this, I don't want to represent and even say here that we get from the group body only negative things, only dark clouds. I don't want to represent that because there is a positive and a negative aspect of all of these things. They have higher octaves, they have lower octaves. So the higher octave of this is that there are days where I wake up, where I start doing my torsion field because I belong to the group body that the Guardian Alliance of Light belong to, that are creating the torsion field for us. There are days where I'm doing the torsion field, and suddenly as I'm doing the torsion field, I begin to realize when I get to, let's say, Guardian number 6 or number 7, I hear very clearly, the torsion field is already there, Pierre. You don't need to do it anymore. It's already present. And I have to relax, I have to let go, and I have to allow whatever is going to be created to be created. So and I'm saying this because I want you to understand that the benefit can be like for the rest of the day or for the next 2 days, you wake up and as you're doing your practice, many times as you're about to do certain things, at least I know I'm being told a lot of times, you don't need to do it because it's already there. The blessed field you're trying to get into, Pierre, you're already in the blessed field. And when I am in that state of grace, I immediately start radiating to the world the peace, the serenity, the love, and the mercy that I know. And I ask God for planetary mercy, for divine mercy to fall upon the world, and for the lending of whatever menace that I'm perceiving to soften. So I don't broadcast unless I can connect. And if I woke up one day and I feel that I've been breached and in my core is something else, I try to extricate it out of my body by repeating to myself over and over again, I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. And I repeat this multiple times. And as I repeat this, eventually my everything inside of me softens and opens up. And then when it opens up, I feel that whatever that breach was, as I'm saying, I release all attachment, fears. I think of the breach, I think of what it feels like in my core, and I surrender into the great emptiness. I exhale at that moment, I release it into God. I release it into source. And as I do this over multiple times, over and over again, as I do my natural breath, my universal breath, all of a sudden it begins to ease up. It's like putting ice in a hot sun. And then it begins to melt and melt away. And before you know it's dissolved, then I can do my normal practice. I can begin to have a conversation with that open core now. And then once I do that, I can do a torsion field. And so when the torsion field is over, I want to remind you of the 9 prayers I had sent to many of you. These prayers that I had channeled from years ago. This is part of my 3rd book that will be coming out next year. And what I do is that I read from the prayer. If I have the time, I read all 9 of them a lot of time, and I read it out loud, because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Saying it out loud creates a frequency and a vibration that change the atmosphere and creates a broadcast. So I say it out loud. Okay? Which one is this again? I don't know. I want to read one of the prayers for you to make you to give a an actual demonstration of the kind of frequency and vibration we are trying to establish. On the brink of war, chaos, and disaster, Lord, I pray for your counsel. I surrender my fear and burden into your arms. Embrace me with your love and protection. Comfort me and keep me safe. For if you are with me, who can be against me? As I witness bigotry, show me how to remove the root cause of bigotry in me. As I perceive the intolerance of others, help me identify the intolerance in me. As I see the blatant acts of hate and fear, show me the hate and the fear that festers in me. As I observe warmongering, may I find the way that I am internally battling. For the world is a stage, and what I experience outside exists in me. Lord, do not take the challenges away from me, but give me the wisdom to understand the lessons so that I can learn and grow into a worthy expression of your light, love, and wisdom. In these challenging times, Lord, be my shepherd. Stay with me and help me identify the hidden wisdom that exists in turbulent world events. Bless me with your peace, love, wisdom, and protection. Bless the world and give peace to mankind. Amen. So this is one of the prayers. Again, I would say out loud after I've done my torsion field. Now the torsion field creates neutrality for me because because I allow the Guardian Alliance of Light to come in and to create share with me the neutrality that the first Guardian knows in 4D, then the second Guardian in 5D, 6D, and so on and so forth, all the way back to God. And as this gets created and gets presented for me, I begin to shift. My consciousness is somewhere else. Whereas before I had a breach, now I am in the neutrality of God. And now I can broadcast because you have to understand the way the good body works. The good body can send me a frequency and a vibration. But when I am at rest, I'm in the rest of God. I can also broadcast through the good body. Think about it for a second. 8 billion people on earth. If 144 of us were able to broadcast the peace and the serenity that we know, and we were to release it simultaneously to the earth and do this, let's say for the next 6 months on a daily basis, there would be a dramatic change in war on earth, and peace will be closer and closer and closer to us. As I know right now, there is not one real spiritual teacher, whether they are shaman. Very recently, Avril Looking Horse, who is one of the holder of the 19th generation peace bundle of the Lakotas. It's one of the holiest shrine of the Native American people. He is just sent a message out asking everyone on the planet, no matter what they believe in their state is, to pray for peace and ask for mercy. Whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Hindu, whether you're Muslim, if you are anywhere near a mystical connection with God, everyone is saying the same thing. We need to pray for peace. So I strongly suggest that we get on board with trying to find a way to create that peace. Any questions, any comments?
Well, thank you, Pierre. That brought up a number of points that I think I have missed or misremembered, not remembered at all. And I certainly want to be part of the movement to transmit neutrality and peace. Two questions that I have, please. You said in the request of the Guardian Alliance of Light to create their torsion fields of light and protection, or whatever, neutrality.
Mhm.
Yet you are also reminding us that you must be neutral before you create the torsion field, because you will generate more of that fear, or whatever the negative emotion is that you have in your heart, if you create a torsion field on top of that. So how does one ask the torsion field, ask the Guardian Alliance of Light for neutrality before you're neutral?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm making sense.
No. This is a great question. So, two things. The first thing to realize is that when you feel that you're breached, the first thing for you to do, I'm going back into basic. It's just reminding you what we discussed before in multiple other classes.
Yes.
The first thing you need to do is to sit in your call and ask yourself, is this 100% right? And if the answer is no, because energy doesn't lie, what percentage belong to me? 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever it is. The part that belongs to you, that's your responsibility to fix. That's you now doing your tikkun and your correction. But the 80%, the 85%, ask Archangel Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael to come in and extract it from you. That's how you become neutral again. So
and then you surrender. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
And so the part that belongs to you, you have to figure out what is the false belief that you're holding that creates the back door through which the 80% is coming in. There is a false belief. There is a corrupted perception of yourself. Maybe you believe yourself to be too small. Maybe you're believing yourself to be not good enough. Maybe you're perceiving yourself to be, whatever it is, there's some false belief. And it's the false belief that you need to change. That's the correction. So when you begin to perceive, so it's a multiple step thing. The first thing is to identify what percentage belong to you, what percentage is outside. What's outside, you ask higher collective to take away from you. You ask God, Jesus, Melchizedek, whomever, remove from you. It doesn't matter. Having them to remove it from you. What's yours, now you need to go do your correction. That's you balancing your own internal karma. To reestablish, to create peace within your own psyche. So whatever that false belief is, find out what it is. And then once you get it and you understand, maybe you're taking a bullet for somebody else in your family. A lot of time, this is the way karma works. A lot of time I see clients who have negative karma. The karma is not theirs. They are taking the burden of someone else in their family because they think that's what love is, and that's what parenting, particularly if you grow up Christian, you have to become like Christ. You need to take a bullet. You have to let somebody nail you. And because of this, we have this martyr archetype that gets corrupted, and it becomes a breach. It becomes a doorway through which things enter. And you have to realize that God does not require this from you. And you have to start now inserting a different narrative in your subconscious mind to change that negative program that says, I have to take a bullet. I have to suffer for other people to be happy. And the moment you make that correction, that tikkun is repaired. Right? Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yes, I'm just writing down. Make the correction once you identify the false belief or the false program. You then switch the gears and implant instead a positive input of.
And let me just say this, Jan, is that sometimes some of the stuff is so big and so scary to me because when I discover some of these internal false belief. I spent most of my life believing the exact opposite. And it's so big, or for that matter, sometimes it's epigenetic.
Mhm.
4 or 5 generations going back, 4 generations going back, my whole family believe in the same thing.
Mhm.
And it's so big that I don't know how to change it. You know what I do at that moment? I pray to God and I ask for help.
Mhm.
I said, God, this is too big. I don't know if I have the strength or the power to change this. Show me what's the correct belief. Show me, give me help. And it never fails. God comes in and tells me this is the correct belief. And now when I speak with myself and I have my self-talk, that's the self-talk. Every time I catch myself falling in the old pattern of the epigenetic stuff, I have a different conversation. No, I corrected. This is the way I'm responding now. I am not this person anymore.
So this will bring you to a place of neutrality.
Yes,
Then why do we ask the Guardian Alliance of Light for their torsion?
because the neutrality that you're creating now is neutrality within yourself and in 3D.
Oh, of course.
If you think of a necklace that has all of these, let's say 13 beads, and you're the bead at the bottom, the Guardian, if you were to ask the Guardian to create their neutrality, the first Guardian is in 4D, the second is in 5D, so on, all the way up to 15D and to go into the throne room of God. But if you are yourself, that center, that 13 bead is out of alignment, and the core, the center of it, the string that holds it together cannot go through, you will never be able to ground the neutrality that they're giving you. So you need to become neutral in 3D and allow the other Guardian to build upon that.
I see. Whoa, gosh, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You see
Whoa.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got
And
it.
then it becomes a beautiful, unbreakable structure.
And not only does it block the Guardian Alliance's attempt to establish neutrality in 4, 5, 6D, and whatever beyond, but you're also then, if you are not neutral in 3D, you'll be broadcasting uh, the negative emotional
Yep,
uh, junk outwardly. Then,
exactly. This is the danger. This is why I insist I'm not going to teach online how to do the torsion field, because those nuances have to be taught.
Mhm.
And it has to be practiced, because I've had so many people in the past that I told the torsion field with, and they keep running back to me. Oh my God, I do the torsion field, ask for protection, it gets worse. And it's because they're battling. They themselves in 3D are not at rest. They're battling themselves with other people and all the time. I had one person that was a so-called empath that was constantly scanning people, seeking. And when you scan, when you're constantly trying to find good energy versus negative energy, positive energy versus negative energy, if you do this, what you don't understand is that you are the assaulter. You're the one that's violating other people. And if they respond by trying to swat you over, it's like you're walking down the street, you see a woman, and then you try to put your hand up her skirt. That's what you're doing energetically when you're scanning. You have no right to enmesh or commingle your energy grid with someone else without consent. And this is, and what I mean to say is that when you're scanning, you're projecting to get tactical advantage so that you can be on top of someone, or you can judge them and be better than them. That's a violation.
Mhm.
It's not like your limbic system that's kind of like leaving little chatter here and there. This is you tactically wanting to get an advantage.
Mhm.
So if this is what you're doing, this woman was doing this, and when I do the torsion field, it gets worse. I get attacked. I see all these demons and all that. I'm like, what people are not understanding, once the 12 torsion fields are created nested on top of each other, anything, any intention, when the torsion field gets created, that you exist in, manifest. I'm not saying will manifest, I'm saying manifest, like in the present. And we need to understand this, and this is why you need to be neutral. So when I'm not neutral, when I feel I'm breached and it takes me a few hours or a day or two to remove the breach, I don't project. I don't try to share nothing. I don't entrain, because I will entrain the wrong thing.
Right. That's very important distinction to make. Never attempt the torsion field if you're not neutral in 3D. And that's good advice. If I may just hop to another question. You mentioned reading the prayers aloud in the beginning was the word. Do you recommend in all prayers, whether it's one of these 9 prayers or your daily conversations with God, that they should be aloud rather than internally silent?
It depends on which realm you're trying to manifest it. Because a lot of time when I'm in the blessed field and I'm completely at rest, I don't need to speak aloud. Everything is done with an internal silent conversation between me and the blessed field.
Yes.
And at that point, I'm connected to spirit in such a deep way, I don't need to say anything aloud. But if I am trying to broadcast and create a change in this world, where the energy is trying to descend from God into this world, I will speak it aloud. This is why when I was trying to teach you, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to disrupt the broadcast.
Yes.
When I was teaching you beyond time and space and project, you have to say it aloud.
Yes. And so also when you are seeking God's help, or whatever we're calling that, blessed field, help to remove the blockages or the 80%, let's say, that's not yours, or to find the false belief that resides behind your percentage of the false belief. When you ask God for assistance to show you that, then it should be allowed.
I don't do it aloud, funny enough.
Oh.
Because at that point I'm conversing with my call and it's very soft. And the way God talks to me, it's not a loud voice.
No.
It's barely a whisper.
Yeah.
And I usually don't play music in the background because I want to be able to hear what God is telling me, because the voice is so soft and it's a whisper, and at the same time it's a complete knowing. It's both things at the same time.
Yes.
Well, you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's just a soft thing, and so at that point I'm not talking aloud because I want to hear what God is trying to tell me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh. All right. So each kind of instance is individual then.
Well, trust your instincts too. Trust what your instinct is telling you. You don't need to, because God is not gonna, you're not gonna hear Archangel Gabriel coming in with a trumpet and say, God said to thee, that kind of thing. That's not what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a bare whisper of something, of what the correct belief is. And all of a sudden you're gonna be, oh my God, and then it's gonna come in. At that point, I'm usually in tears, because what God is telling me is so powerful and so potent. I can feel the blessing and the grace, and I am in deep gratitude, because I know with that new insertion now, I can close that back door. I will not be breached by that place through that place anymore. There might be other breaches or the back doors, but that one I can close.
Well, we definitely need to be broadcasting now the neutrality and the grace, the mercy for all of us, for all of the mankind, all of humanity.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's so many things in the world. There are so many places in the world where there are conflicts, and I will let you pick which place you want to focus on. But there is enough to make me believe that in the horizon right now is the potential for a world war that would be catastrophic for all of us.
Mm.
And thus we need to be to ask for mercy and pray for mercy and ask for divinity to spare us, and not only that, but for God to find a way to change the mind and the consciousness of the leaders of the world. Because I know people on all sides of these conflicts, and I can tell you, none of them want war. It is the leaders who want the war. And I'm going to go even further, say something that may sound crazy, but it probably is true. War is about money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's about money. And instead of spending all that money in destruction and chaos and death, we should be reserving these financial resources and create the means by which we can begin to create planetary support for the climate change crisis that's afoot and that's going to affect every population on the earth. That money should be saved, for example, for the people in Asheville or in some areas that still don't have power, or that where municipal water has not been restored. So all the people who are digging themselves out of mud, or bodies are still being recovered because of the storm that just went through. The fact that the federal government doesn't have these things in place yet, and they're still scrambling to try to find them. If we were not spending so much money in war, that those resources would be present. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's just a shame. It's just a shame that in this day and age, when we're so close to the galactic equator crossing, that we are collectively and karmically have not learned this great lesson to give peace a chance.
You spoke of karma earlier as well, the egregore karma, the group karma, the individual karma that is maybe leading to what you last week, I think it was, called the crisis of the moment, wherein is the opportunity for transformation. When you're facing that huge crisis, that it is at that moment that you can make the change, right? Or
Correct.
something to that effect. I'm not using your exact words, of course.
Yes. I remember last week we talked about the fact that in Darwin's positive mutation theory of the evolution of species, that positive mutation can only occur when you're faced with the mass extinction crisis. And when that happens, there will be potentially lots of people who are going to die. And then out of that, the survivors will emancipate and grow into something else. And I share with you the example of a friend of mine who had supposedly an incurable type of cancer, lymphoma, and he went to a bone marrow stuff and whatever, went to multiple crises, or 4 years of like incredible medical thing that happened to him, almost died multiple times. Anyway, he's now in remission, but what the cancer did for him is that it changed his personality completely. The person that he was before, the executive that was making $500,000 per year, that was like concerned about, what kind of car, what kind of Mercedes that he was driving, and the Patek Philippe watch or the Rolex, and what neighborhood am I living to? Am I flying first class? And all the things that were important. None of that is important to him right now. And he's stepping in. I see the cancer in that instance, it made him more human. It made him more compassionate. And he has an unbelievable empathy. It's not that he didn't have it before, because I've known him since I was we were studying at Columbia together, but he was suppressing all of this. So I've known him since my 20s. He was holding it back. There's a part of him that could cry on an instant like this, but he would push it back to get back and on top and be the fabulous person. I'm in charge. Project the ego out. So for me, the positive mutation, although he did get a bone marrow from his sister, so his DNA did change. But in addition to that, for me, what the change that I saw is that his higher emotion kicked in big time. And had he not gone through that experience, I don't think he would ever have arrived at where he is right now. So you're right that those planetary crises are opportunity for us individually and collectively to have positive mutation experiences, to elevate our consciousness, and to even physically change our own DNA and allow us to become homo luminous.
Not just with the shifting of false programs and beliefs, but the karma as well, right?
Yes.
That would become more clear as a threat of extinction or global war loomed on the horizon. Maybe that's what it takes.
Exactly. Maybe the threat of war being so close, that's what it takes for us to realize we can't go down that route.
Right.
We have to give peace a chance.
It wouldn't be the traditional kind of war in this day. It would probably be, if not nuclear, but at least digitally.
It would be a mass extinction event.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's a positive, perhaps, spin on this threat of one of the tines of the fan that spread out of this kind of a catastrophic war. Maybe that's the good part of it.
Yes. And it's I'm still praying because I don't know what God, and again, the scale of this is too big for me to comprehend. Right?
Yes.
You and I are too small in this equation. We're just the little pawn on the chessboard. This thing is so big that all we can do collectively is pray and ask for mercy and let God figure out the way to equilibrate and balance the karma. And you're right about the karma, because in the instance of my friend, the karma that he has to pay is connected to him and the toxic dynamic with him and his sisters and his brother and his family.
Mm.
There's a lot. They're all loving people, and I love every one of them. But all of them are running to me to tell me what the other one is doing. And I can't say to this other person that one says this and that, because it's going to start something. You understand? And I sit in the middle going, and not being able to say nothing. And I have to say that I love them. I really love them. Every one of them, everyone in the family, the mom, I love every one of them. And it's a kind of love they are from a different country, but I feel like I've known them the moment we met. It was an instant bonding, like you're a brother from another mother.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And they feel the same way too. Like we are really connected, really, really connected. And so because they know I'm family, they're able to express. Everything shows up in front of me.
Yeah. Oh.
And I don't mind. Individually, several of them had approached me just this past week to apologize. I'm sorry I brought you into all of this. I'm sorry, Pierre. I apologize, blah, blah, blah. I said, you're apologizing now? I said, for all the things I've seen you do over the years, we've known each other, what, over 25, almost 30 years? All the things I've seen you do, you and your whole family in front of me, I don't need to apologize for nothing. Plus, I'm not judging any of you. And you know this. I'm not judging any of you. If anything, I'm helping you find clarity because I know it's karma.
Mm.
When somebody brings something to me, I ask rhetorical questions. I don't tell them what to do. I say, what about X, Y, Z? Do you think, what is there anything that you may have done to have provoked this? And I let them think about it, to figure out the correction.
Mm. I want to just make one more comment, then I'll shut up. You said something profound. That which you see outwardly and maybe disapprove of, let us say, in a polite way, has a reflection within you, within us. So if we're seeing outwardly the threat of global war, what about that scenario resides in us? What triggers for that kind of war maybe is a better question or a better way to answer it. Would that be a valuable exercise?
Yes, and as it says in the prayer, I'm going to read a couple of lines and please pay attention to the last line. As I witness bigotry, show me how to remove the root cause of bigotry in me. As I perceive intolerance in others, help me identify intolerance in me. As I see blatant acts of hate and fear, show me the hate and the fear that festers in me. As I observe warmongering, may I find the way that I'm internally battling.
Oh.
So the idea is to understand it's a mirror and that the external and whatever is happening in the world, there's a schism inside of me I'm battling as well.
Oh.
I'm contributing to the group body.
So you may not be battling what the group, the global condition is. You may not be battling on that level, but you may have some internal battles of your own
Exactly.
related to that.
Yes.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I may be perceiving myself as being a victim or being too small and thinking of myself as like, I need to get this because it belongs to me. It's mine. And as I'm doing this, I am contributing to the group body so that the collective now or my nation can go out there and become warmongering. I am adding to it.
Right. It's not subject related, it's the feeling related.
It's emotion related. That's correct.
Yes. Oh, I got it. Oh.
Correct. It's emotion related. That's correct.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Thank you.
It doesn't have to do with I may feel it that way specifically to my life or to something specific to me, but if I'm feeling it, it's because I'm contributing to it in some ways. My own toxic imbalances, my own that festers inside of me is contributing to the group body.
Well, that leads me to consider a lot of things that I might disapprove of, let us say, and get really riled up about, that in some way are reflections internally. I've got to look at that now. Now that I understand it, I will look at that more closely. Thank you.
Yeah. Because a lot of time the thing that we think that this is a blah blah blah, and we think we're morally superior, and then you're what is it, spiritually indignant, and you're this that, and you think you're better. You're no different than the other country that's doing exactly the same thing. That you think you're the chosen one and you're the one that has to be, everything has to be given to you because you're so entitled. You're no different. You're doing exactly the same thing. You're contributing to this.
And really, I was thinking more of on a personal level about the way the way people are being treated in this country, whether it's governmental, the medical, whatever the situation is that you feel is so unfair to others, then that is wrong because you're no longer neutral if you're feeling that, number one. But number two, as a mirror, part of that exists in you.
And to your point, I'm going to add something else to your point. whomever is going through that suffering at that moment or your perception of suffering, it's their karma. Sometimes that's what they need to go through in order for them to have the positive mutation experience.
Oh my. Oh gosh. So it turns to good.
Yes. Everything ultimately will turn to good.
Of course, a lot of people die in the process, so I guess that
Yeah,
turns to good.
but the dying, okay, uh, to somebody that's spiritual, death is nothing more than a transition into something else because you get reborn again. So to a perception of someone that's deeply spiritual, the idea of not being in the physical realm anymore is nothing more than a change of state.
Hmm.
So it's not a negative, it's simply transformative.
Mm-hmm.
And because there is karma connected to it, you have to allow sometimes you have to allow, what is it that they say in AA, Alcoholic Anonymous? Every alcoholic must hit bottom in order for them to begin to heal. And
Hmm.
that bottom is different for everybody else. And the same is true for your karma.
Yes. Oh my. I can spin off on that for a long time.
Yes, yes. The same is true for your karma because there are times. Of course, I want all of you to learn by grace. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not having this deep conversation with you because I want you to suffer. I want you to go to the, to be destitute and to fall, for everything to fall apart. I want you to learn by grace, to learn by watching others, learn by the conversation that we're having, so that you can become more informed by you having internal conversation with yourself to find out what percentage belong to me and make the internal correction for you and do all of that. I want you to be, I want to accelerate the process for you. And so that's why we're having these conversations. So having said this, we need to understand a lot of times, I'm going to give you a simple example. My friend was a Buddhist priest 2 years ago when we began to notice the lantern fly, was originally from China. Somebody ordered some tiles, some sort of mosaic or tile, stone tile, that went into some region of Pennsylvania. And on the tile, on the stone tile, the lantern fly had laid their eggs. And when they deposit and put the tile down, it multiplied and spread. Now it's spreading to all the states. And it's a highly invasive species. It goes on your bumper of your car. You drive from one state to another. The next thing you know, they're spreading it. And I remember my Buddhist friend realizing this, was meeting with this group. He asked the group, "What are we supposed to do about this? This invasive species, blah blah blah." And the teacher said, "This belongs to the realm of God. It is not for you to judge what karma and what correction that God is going to create for this. Let it be." Because I remember in the news at the time, they were saying, when you see them around the fall, just step on it and try to kill them. I'm like, each one of them lay over 500 eggs. How much? And I can see them around this time of the year in the fall, so many hundreds of them, thousands of them, are hopping everywhere. I'm going to go start hopping trying to step on every one of them. I'm not, it has to be a better solution. And the correction is being done now by nature. Around Pennsylvania, which was ground zero for it, where it drops down, native species like grasshoppers and what do you call that? Praying mantis and other kind of insects are attacking the lanternfly right now. And they're balancing the species out.
Hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? That the universe has a way of balancing things. At the time, it was like, oh my God, what a catastrophic thing. This thing is so invasive. And it destroyed plants and trees. It caused, in some places of China, certain kind of species of trees to, and find a food source to be depleted completely. But that's not what's happening here.
Hmm. Very.
because we have a different karma.
Uh-huh. Well, so okay.
And there was no necessity because one of the things my friend was trying to ask for his teacher is that is there anything that we can do spiritually to stop the spread of this thing? It doesn't belong here. And the teacher said, this is something that God is doing. It's not up to you and I to decide. Stay out of it. And a
Well,
lot of times, when you go to teachers that are very advanced or saints and holy people, and you're telling them about something that's happening with the karma of the world, they ask you to pray generally for blessings or for mercy, and they said the rest let God do what God wants to do.
oh, that's a very, very good perspective. I'm thinking about how I get upset about how we're destroying our food system, chemicals and GMOs and sprays and fertilizers and bombing the heck out of our crops with poisons that we then ingest. And now I see that it's not um, it's not something that we need to correct. Then it is God to correct.
Yeah, Gaia is much more powerful than that. Gaia will make the correction that's necessary. I'm going to give you another example, and then we'll stop to do for the break and then do a closing meditation. You know the microplastics, there are plastics patches that are all over. There's six of them, I think 6 or 7 of them in all the oceans around the world where nothing, no fish, nothing grows. They're gigantic and they're miles and miles wide. At least it was thought this to be this way until a couple of divers tried to swim to them. And what they discovered is that it was teeming with life. There were all kind of jellyfish and snails and stuff that are now that nature has created and mutated to eat the plastic.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's remarkable.
And when I discovered this, my jaw dropped.
Oh my, yes.
I was like, here is God at work again.
So let go and let God.
Yeah, Gaia will live.
Yeah.
All these species, and they are kind of fluorescent. They took some pictures of them. They look like fluorescent jellyfish and all that, and they're feeding on the plastics. And now comes the spiritual conundrum. Okay, we have created a machine now that can sweep in and clean a lot of these plastic patches.
Mhm.
Should we clean it because now it's filled with life?
Right. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Here is where our morality and our ethic has to evolve with with the stuff that are happening currently.
Well, as we are coming closer and closer to that galactic equator crossing, I'm sure there are going to be many of the such
Yeah,
conundrums.
yeah. The guy that was swimming through it was like, "What? These things are moving. It's alive." I thought that was supposed to. All the fish were supposed to be dead. All the turtle were dead. Why is it? Why all these life forms? And then they went back with scientists, started going back with researchers, started going back in these patches, and sure enough, they confirmed it.
Oh,
Anyways, let's take a break, and then Janice, and then we'll do a closing meditation. Okay,
thank you.
5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you noticed. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness. And endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness. And endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Listen. Listen. As if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. What kinds of insight information and breakthroughs. Is your core trying to share with you? Lord, elevate me from the fears and triggers connected to surviving and help me cultivate your 144 celestial and divine virtues.
Let my awareness expand into that rich tapestry and space of higher feelings and emotions. May I know what you know. See what you see. And feel what you feel. I surrender my entire consciousness and let go of all of my fears, pain, suffering, and burdened into a power that is immensely bigger, richer, and nuanced than me. I humbly surrender all control, for the vast continents is the driver and the source of all repairs, salvation, and redemption. Let an endless cascade of benevolence, goodness, and blessings pour down upon me and remove all separations, fears, and fragmentations from all aspects of my life. Lord, I ask that you take over and guide all parts of my life. And may your blessings fall upon me in the most miraculous instantaneous and unexpected ways. May I be freed from all pain and suffering. Take me into the blessed field and let me prosper in your protection, embrace, and love. May your light shine through me and onto others. May the endless blessings, perpetual renewal, and unceasing repairs that you provide me pass to everyone in my circle of influence. Let this blessing reach humanity and every corner of the earth. The mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom, and to the roots of Gaia. Let your light, power, and dominion return back to earth. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This class has been so rich in giving me very important, profound revelations and understandings that are very transformative. I deeply appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome, Janice. I'm so happy that it was so helpful for you. I want to thank everyone for listening to us tonight. And if you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you next week. Blessed week to everyone, and keep up the good work. I'm very proud of you. Blessings.
Good night. Good night. Love you.